Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melissa Caprio.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave. It is Wednesday. How's everybody doing? It's my favorite day of the week. I love doing this show. I always have the most amazing guests, so that makes me really happy. And today is no different because I have author Catherine Duncan on my show, and we're going to be talking a lot about her book, Everyday Awakening: 5 Practices for Living Fully, Feeling Deeply, and Coming into Your Heart and Soul. And she is going to join me in just a couple of minutes. And actually, I think Catherine is great to be talking to today because I hope everybody is, handling the world right now. Okay, it's crazy. I know there's a lot of craziness, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety. Nobody knows, change is scary. Nobody knows what's happening. So, having practices for ourselves right now, I think, is very good. It's good for us to keep ourselves calm. And it's also very empowering, I think, when you have a practice in your own life that keeps you centered and calm. And I know that I started getting serious about meditating, and I do like a visual meditation. That's the way that I do it every morning. And I'd say probably about 8 months now. And not every morning it's easy because sometimes my mind races, but I've gotten so good at practicing. It's really helped keep me calm in all the craziness, of course, right? So she's going to be very, very helpful. So before I bring her out, just a couple of things. For those who are in South Florida and came to our event I've been talking about it the last couple of weeks on Friday, our art event. We had over 200 people here. It was amazing. I just want to say thank you for coming. It was so great to be in the world of the creatives and talking about art and philosophy and music and creativity. It was just so wonderful. So, thank you so much for that. And if you're new to my show, I just want to say welcome. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, and I have a book titled Postcards to the Universe: Harness the Universe's Power and Manifest Your Dreams. And I had 9 photographs in the exhibit of people's manifesting postcards that I photographed. And there's 30 of those in my book. And those people who created the postcards that are in my book, when their manifestation, whatever they wanted to attract into their life, showed up in the reality, I shared their story. So, that in a short summary is what postcards is about. And it's just been amazing doing the project. And I am incredibly grateful for everybody who sends me manifesting postcards. And right now, yeah, send one. What is it that you want to bring? What does your life look like? What is it that you want to bring into your life in the next year? 5 years or 10 years, create a postcard around it, because tapping into our creativity really brings joy, I have to say. And it gets us out of our thinking mind into our feeling body and an intention. So, if you want to know how to do that, you can reach out to me and I can help you, or you can go to postcardstouniverse.com and there's a section that tells you how to create a manifesting postcard and the address where to send it. So please do it. They're a lot of fun to make. And also, if you're just joining me for the first time, you can listen to any of our shows. There's always a description in the show of the guests that I have and what we're going to be talking about. And you can find that on Om Times in the archives. You can find it on postcardstotheuniverse.com and podcasts. And you can find it on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. So I hope you come back and listen to more shows. But let me get to today's amazing guest. So Catherine Duncan is an integrative spiritual consultant and a first time author. Congratulations. Her new book, Everyday Awakening 5 Practices for Living Fully, Feeling Deeply, and Coming into Your Heart and Soul, was released in July 2023. After 2 near death experiences, Catherine left a lucrative corporate job with Time magazine to study theology and become a chaplain at a level 1 trauma hospital and later a hospice chaplain, accompanying thousands of people at the end of life. Today, Catherine runs a private practice counseling attorneys, doctors, business executives, and people searching for more. She helps people open into their true nature and live from their heart and soul. Everyday Awakening shares gleanings from Catherine's personal life, client work, and most importantly, what it means to be fully alive. Her book, endorsed by Mel Robbins, is, and this is what Mel said about her book, your roadmap for living a fully engaged life. And if you want to find out more about her, you can go to her website, catherineduncan.org. And I'm going to spell it since we're on radio. It's Catherine with a C, CATHERINE, Duncan, DUNCAN.org. Welcome, Catherine. Thanks so much for being here with me today.
Thanks for having me on, Melissa. Great to meet you today.
Great to meet you too. And I think we could really use your wisdom right about now because the world is just in chaos, as you know, and people are very fearful and scared. And you know, you have a perspective that many of us don't have, where you've gone through 2. I only thought it was 1, but it was 2 near death experiences. So you've seen things that maybe we haven't seen, and you also are working with people who you will have worked with people who are in hospice. So share with us how you got into the work that you're doing, what happened to you, and some of your thoughts right now about what's going on.
I agree with you that there is a lot of chaos in the world. I hear it every week, almost just about every day in my private practice.
I'm sure.
Yeah, chaos, dysregulation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really takes strength and courage. And how can I stay grounded amidst the chaos in the world? It's so easy to tune into that energy. Everything is energy. And if you feel into the energy around that's really chaotic and then we become chaotic, it doesn't help us. In fact, it's really a deterrent and physically, emotionally, spiritually. So it takes a lot of consciousness and mindfulness to, amidst what's happening in the world, how can I stay grounded and find my breathing room and my balance and be, a light in the world. I mean, the more we can be grounded, the more it really truly does impact everyone around us, our friends, our family, but it's a choice. It's a conscious choice. So again, thank you for having me on. My book, Everyday Awakening, I would say is a calling. Published in 2023. I actually had a vision of my book 10 years prior and I told my family, kids, then teenagers and husband, I see I'm going to write a book. And they all thought, great, Mom.
Yeah, right. That's great, though.
I know.
I love it.
And then when the pandemic hit and my whole entire private practice went online, I all of a sudden had time and space, and I sat down and I started typing at night and on my computer, and I couldn't stop. It just poured out of me. My book is all about what does it mean to be fully alive right now, and it comes out of personally facing my own death, being with thousands of people as they died as a chaplain. And my big message is, you don't have to wait until you're at the end of your life or facing death or upheaval, you can choose right now to feel into your heart, your soul, that deep peace that's within us. And it takes a consciousness, a choice, and a practice for every one of us.
Yeah, I'm glad you said the word practice because it is a practice, right? It's so easy to go down the rabbit hole of anger and fear, and that's not. And I want to be clear, and I'm sure you probably agree with me. It's not taking away from the realities of what's happening to some people, right? People who are losing their jobs, or people who are losing their homes, or losing their health care, or losing whatever they're losing. I don't want to be like, like that. Let's not look at what's dark and only look at the light. No, I'm not saying that at all, because that's real if that's affecting you. But but having a practice that can keep us stay centered in the midst of the chaos, I think, is really important. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is easy, and I find this with many, many people I've met and in life, that it's so easy to live in our mind, to live on
Mm,
autopilot, where
right.
our mind just runs us. I mean, we typically have, 70,000 plus thoughts a day. And every one of us, listening right now, we
Yeah.
know we can watch our thought, we can watch our feeling. We're not our thought, we're not our feeling. But again, that practice comes in of like, okay, how can I experience for a minute or two? My mind slows down. I come in to just feel my body, feel my breath, and that's where the peace is. And it does take consciousness, a practice to experience that.
Yeah. Well, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us what happened to you with your near-death experience, and did it did it change you like so significantly that this is the work that you wanted to do after you had that? Were you a different kind of a person before that? Were you a, what is it, type A personality? Always working, always thinking about work, corporate, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. My life cracked open at 11 years old. That was my first experience of facing into death. I was 10. I had just turned 11. I was suddenly gravely ill. My family, my parents, they took me to the hospital. I was diagnosed with a really rare childhood cancer. My parents were told when I was 11. They didn't tell me because I was so little, but
Mhm.
that I had a 20% chance to survive. I started going through
Wow.
really intensive treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries. It was a lot. And this was in the 70s. And I'll tell you, back in the 70s at our leading hospital, University of Minnesota here, they had no program. They had nothing. No one talked to
Wow.
me about what was happening to me. And my parents, I felt their love, but they didn't say a word. That's my
Right.
family background. They don't talk feelings, emotions. And I quickly could feel that I was between life and death. I was walking on a tightrope. It was
Wow.
just a horror show. It was extremely scary. Back in the 70s, they did a lot of amputation. I would sit in the waiting room at the U of M hospital waiting to get chemotherapy, and, everyone like no arms, no legs, screaming, crying. It was just like,
Wow.
oh, it was rough. And
Yeah.
I, all of a sudden, with that feeling of like, am I going to live? Am I not? What came to me is to start to pray, and faith meant nothing. My family intermittently went to a Lutheran church, never talked feelings, prayer, faith, nothing. But I just started to pray, like to the universe, like praying, could I please live? My prayer was, could I live to be 20? I kept praying and praying. And not long after, all of a sudden, this feeling of just peace flooded my
Mm.
body. It just flooded my body. It took my breath away. And it was
Wow.
just a knowing came through me at such a young age that I was going to live. I mean, I wasn't alone. This feeling of
Wow.
something greater was with me and has been with me to this day. And I'll tell you, the year I got sick, this drug came over from Turkey, randomly being given to patients. My father, being a businessman, met the doctor several times, as I have heard from my mom since. My dad's gone for years now. And he demanded they give me this drug. They finally did. And that drug is standard treatment for what I had.
Wow.
Survival rate is now like 80% for what I had because of this drug from Turkey. And it was just, yeah. So I, I survived. I went through all that. I lived a pretty normal, teenage years. I went to college, out of college. My whole family, I have a lot of siblings, all of them in the business world. So I went into the business world, and I was in advertising, and then I joined Time Magazine. I was selling the regional ads for Time Magazine, several Time Magazine publications. And the second, which was, I'd say, a near-death experience, happened in my middle 30s when I was on a Time Inc. corporate trip, whitewater rafting. And it was for like the top sales executives that year. And it was just a life-changing experience. We were on a raft, treacherous waters, level 3, level 4. The head of our raft was the head of, supposedly, you said, the Costa Rica Olympic team. He was crazy. So instead of going around the rapids, he went straight down. I was in the corner with life vest and life, preservers vest, everything, and a helmet. And I just didn't have the weight to hold the boat.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I was thrown off. I was plunged deep underwater. And I was like, I curled up in a ball, and I was like, this is it. I'm going to die. And images of my kids came to me, images of my childhood of being, in the hospital came to me. And then all of a sudden, this white light came around my entire body, and this voice said, living or dying is fine. And this peace came into me, almost like it did as a child. I didn't know if I was going to live or die, but I let go. And I think I uncurled my body. I came out from under a rapid. They pulled me onto a boat. I survived. I was in shock. I couldn't talk.
Wow.
We had to finish getting down the rapids to get out. And then I'll tell you, within a day, 2 days later, I was home coming back to Minneapolis. I was in a taxi, and I decided to call my mom to tell her I'm home. My mom, I'd say religious, not spiritual, really more religious, and never in her life shared a dream or hasn't since. And out of nowhere, before I even told her what happened, she's like, Catherine, I dreamed that I slipped into a river and I almost drowned, and then I woke up. And that was the day that this happened to me.
Wow.
And it was just a turning point. I had this really successful, lucrative job with Time Magazine. And I was like, this isn't it. I was just feeling in my heart like, this isn't it. And then within 2 weeks, I gave my notice. Luckily, my husband was supportive. And I thought, I need to listen. I need to meditate, breathe, journal. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I being called to do? And that's when I quit, and I got some odd jobs for money. And within a few months, all of a sudden, a girlfriend said theology, spiritual direction. Every step to this day has unfolded by listening.
So interesting. Did you see your body? Did you have it in that? I know some people actually leave their body.
Yeah. No, for me, it was this radiant white light just took throughout my whole, around me, within me. It was just like, whoa. And then this incredible feeling of peace just poured into me. And this voice was so loud, so loud. It was just like literally the words, living or dying is fine. It was just like this peace, like no matter what, it's going to be okay.
Wow. Wow. Well, I've heard this from other people who have had experiences who have said that we have exit points throughout our life
Mm-hmm.
that we can choose to go or stay. And I always thought that was kind of interesting. And most of the time, we don't even know where it's an exit point. Like we could be, at a light and the light, a car runs through the light, and something falls, and you lean down to pick it up, and a truck, because that happened to me. That's why I'm saying that.
Oh, wow.
18-wheeler went through a light, and if the little, it was an angel clip, by the way. If it didn't fall off
Wow.
my visor, I would have gone and I would have gotten smacked by an 18-wheeler. But so that was
Oh,
maybe one of my exit points. I just didn't know
wow.
it. Yeah.
Right.
So,
No, I
and
agree with you. I
mhm,
think we are given exit points. I
mhm.
think I've been given 2 so far.
Yeah, I think so. And you're like, no, I have a book to write and I have
Yeah.
people to help.
I know. Now,
Right?
here's the thing. It's like, be careful what you pray for, because I
Exactly.
remember in my 20s, I mean, I experienced a lot of life. Yes, I like life, but I kind of thought, bring it on. This is my
Oh
lifetime. I don't want to come back. And I literally put that out in prayer of the
my
universe, like,
God.
bring it on. And
Oh my
then
God.
we had several family members in my family die. And then my husband had this horrific heart condition that he did
Oh,
flatline 9 years ago. And after he got through it, which was amazing, I was working as a hospice chaplain, and I remember I was driving to see a patient, and I remember that prayer, bring it on, and I literally pulled the car over, and I'm like, haha, just kidding.
I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that way. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
be
seriously,
careful.
I was just like, I'm really happy to come back another lifetime. We're all good.
Oh my God. So, oh my God, I know, right? Because we don't realize, I think when we're in spirit and we look down, and if we live for eternity, which our soul is eternal, one life is like a blink, right? It just so,
Right.
oh, I can handle all that, and then you're here and you're like, what was I thinking? What was I
Yeah.
thinking? Hard.
So be careful what you pray for. And then I was like, yeah,
Exactly.
really happy. A few more lifetimes, we're good.
So for people who are like right now are struggling, like what kind of practices can we incorporate in our daily lives that can help us feel more grounded, can open up our heart, and find more love and joy?
Yeah. My book, Everyday Awakening, these 5 practices that I have, 5 practices for
Mhm.
living fully, feeling deeply, coming into your heart and soul. These are practices that I've learned since a very young person and have been organically, I've lived them. And so I'll share the 5 practices are: the first one, come back to the present moment, come back to
Mhm.
just being here
Yeah.
and now. Then that leads into connecting with something greater. I've worked with people of all faiths, no faith, just like, what is that for you? Even if it's energy, true nature, what is that? The third is grow your trust, then embody love and hold openness. So just starting with come back to the present moment,
Mhm.
like we started to talk about at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, life is in this moment when we're in our heart. I think our heart is a doorway to our soul. It's feeling into that. It's not in our ego mind, our fast chattering ego mind that go, 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 go. When we're in our mind, we're in the
Yeah.
past, the future. We're not even here. And it really does take a practice, a consciousness to just moments of mindfulness, moments of just feeling your breath, your senses, to bring you into the moment where it's like, oh, your mind slows down. All of a sudden, there's
Mhm.
some peace, some breathing room. That's where life is. That's what people are searching for. People are searching for more, searching for ease and breathing room and peace, and it's not found in our mind.
No. And if anybody listening knows this, what happens when we start to think of worst case scenario? We're not present, we're over there, we're in the future, and we're imagining worst case scenario happening in our life. And then that just takes us like, to a level of anger, anxiety, fear, sadness, whatever it is. But meanwhile, in the moment, you're okay. Like right in the moment, you're all right. You can just take a breath. It is a practice. You have to snap yourself and remind yourself, come back to present, come back here, come back here. Yeah.
Yep,
That's
yep.
why
And when we get, yeah,
go, go ahead,
when
finish.
we
And
get when we get in a worry, every one of us,
mhm,
me too, right? You get in a worry, a thought, an
mhm,
anxious, a fearful thought, And then you keep going. Well, we can turn on the stress response by thought alone. So we all of a sudden are worried or anxious. Then that turns on the chemical response in our body, cortisol, our emotion, and we get very quickly, we can get into what's called a limbic loop, where we're just caught in this cycle in our brain. And these pathways, these neural pathways in our brain are getting stronger and stronger and stronger, this fear loop, this worry loop. And there's a whole science, which is fascinating, called neuroplasticity, how we can rewire our brain to the positive. And I've studied it, I'm certified in it. It's so interesting. Every one of us right now listening, we can reshape our brain and, to the moment we die.
Yeah. It's just things that you have to do every day. Okay, so you told us the first three. So then what's four and five?
Um, so the practices in my book: come back to the present moment, connect with something greater, grow your trust, and then embody love and hold openness. And
Okay.
embodying love, I just love. I think that's the reason we're here on this earth, is how every one of us can learn to love. And I think how we differentiate ourselves is our ability to love. And I think what we take with us when we die, and I've had many examples being with people when they died, this love that radiates a room and you can feel it leave when they leave. I think what we take with us is our ability to love. I think that's why we're here on this earth.
Yeah, and I imagine a lot of the conversations you're having with people that are end of their life are not talking about, oh, I wish I spent more time at, XYZ job. They may be thinking, I wish I forgave somebody. I wish I can reconnected with somebody. I wish I didn't treat somebody a certain way, right? It's probably what a
Yeah,
lot of our
yeah,
regrets are at the end of our
yeah.
life because it's
It's the
over.
number one theme. Number one theme with people dying, bar none, was just love. All they wanted, people, when they were end of life, is love. That's it.
Mm, wow. Yeah, makes sense. Oh, I just looked at the time. I can't believe we're already at the halftime. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take our break here and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned, everybody, and I'll be right back.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose: to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on Om Times Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
Hi, and welcome back. So, if you're just joining me, I have author Catherine Duncan with me today, and we're talking a lot about her latest book, Everyday Awakening: 5 Practices for Living Fully, Feeling Deeply, and Coming into Your Heart and Soul. So, Catherine, during the break, I was thinking about what you said about how, um, 'cause Catherine was also, are you still a hospice chaplain or are you not doing that anymore?
I'm not. I was. I worked at
Yeah.
our level 1 trauma hospital and then a hospice chaplain, and now I have a private practice.
Okay. So when you were talking, she was saying before the break about how at the end of people's lives, with the thousands of people she was with and counseled at the end of their life, that it was all about love. The love we gave, the love maybe we held back, right?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it's that's what it all comes as down to. That must have been very profound for you.
It was. It was, let's say the word magical. I mean, that I
Mm,
got to be so privileged to be with people in such a sacred time when people were leaving, facing their death and leaving their body. I'll tell you, as far as I'm concerned, that death is not an end. I witnessed
mhm,
just way too much and saw too much. I'm also a mystic and I'm an intuitive. And within a week or so of many people that died that I was with, they would actually come back and see me in the middle of the night. I would open my eyes and like, at first it was like, whoa. But then I
oh my
realized,
God.
quickly what it was. It was just this outline, often like in a blue color spirit of the person next to me nodding, and then they'd be gone. And I actually had to put up energy boundaries. Like, you can't come within 20 feet and wake me up after a while. It was just like too
Yeah.
much. But
Yeah.
but
That would
death
freak me out too.
it's sacred. It's a transformation. Our spirit goes on. Our body, our ego mind dies, but our spirit is eternal.
Yeah. So have you gotten some wisdom or information about the other side from some of the people that you've worked with?
Not really. I mean, can I tell you what happens on the other side? Not really. That hasn't been a passion, a focus for me.
Mhm.
What it has told me is that, again, we are eternal. Our spirit soul is eternal forevermore and transformed. I also experienced when people were dying how deceased loved ones, angels, I could see different
Mhm.
people in the room would come. Some people would talk to them, some not,
Yeah.
and would help them on their journey. So even in the dying process, I witnessed how
Mhm.
people are not alone. Between loved ones, angels, God, they're there to help them make that transition. It's really beautiful.
That is beautiful. I've heard that from many people who do what you do or are connected or channels can talk to the other side have said the same thing, and I believe it. I've always believed it since I was little, so I don't really struggle with the faith of the other side, but I know some people who do. So to me, I feel like that's very comforting, right? And I really think we all have this gift. It's just some of us are more tuned in and tapped in than others. I think some of us are just more closed off, maybe because of our what's going on in our own lives, our experiences, our own trauma, so it closes us off.
Yep, yep. And I think just being open to what's possible, being open physically, emotionally, spiritually. There's so much about feeling into the magicalness of life right now. When you're open, when you're present, when you're noticing, there's so much, and there's so much guidance that every single one of us receives. And every one of us, everyone listening right now, we have gifts when we're in the present moment. There's a stillness. If it's hearing, the words clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentient, maybe it's a sense of hearing, seeing, sensing, feeling. It's there, but it's not when we're in our thinking mind.
That's for sure. It's definitely not when we're in our worrying mind or when we're
Yeah.
in our past mind going over a situation or something that happened that we're like mad about or whatever. It's definitely not there. You talk about how to live a dimensional life. What do you mean by that? Like, how can we do that?
Yeah. Well, we need to use our mind when, of course, working, planning, organizing a trip, or organizing, a birthday party next weekend. I mean, we need to use our mind, but I think we can, using our mind, still have that deep, steeped sense of presence that's there still. It's present in the background, even though we're using our mind. That's what I mean by multidimensionally. Even right now while I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you, you're asking questions, I'm thinking, but I feel really grounded, steeped groundedness in the moment, and I look up and I see spirits every day. So it's like I think we can live on all these different levels at the same time,
Mhm.
multidimensionally.
So, what would you tell somebody who's listening? Um, Maybe some simple, like a practice they can. Do you ground? So my question is, do you like go outside? Because I've heard a lot about grounding. I know a lot of people think that grounding has helped them so much. Like, what's your daily practice to keep you grounded, to keep you centered, to
Hmm.
keep you open? That maybe somebody listening right now could be like, I can add that little thing to my daily life. It's not going to
Yeah.
require me to go so far out of my comfort zone because like anything else, it's a step. You take baby steps, right? To
Yep.
as we're moving and growing.
And in my book, I have 42 exercises: how to feel more
Perfect.
present, how to feel more love, more flow, and if it's somatic body movements or toning using your voice or your breath. I'll just share in the moment a couple of my go-to favorites. And
Okay.
the first is, and this is again a consciousness, a choice, a practice. How do you start your day when you wake up in the morning? So you wake up, maybe it's an alarm, maybe you just wake up,
Mhm.
and it's really powerful how we even start our day. If you start your day, you wake up, let's say you grab your phone or you start thinking about, I have 4 appointments, I have this. Many people start their day in a
Yeah.
stress response before they get out of bed.
Yep.
So I've done this for years. When I wake up in the morning, no matter what, even if I have a jam-packed day, I have a few minutes in bed
Mhm.
where I have gratitude, thankfulness. And you hear a lot about, oh, practice gratitude. So here's
Yeah.
how I practice gratitude. I use my mind and I think about, oh my gosh, I'm alive. I have a home, I'm a
Mhm.
home, a bed, I have family. I mean, wow, friends. I think about it, but then I feel it. I feel thankfulness. I feel thankfulness, love. These are the highest vibrational energies our body can hold.
Yeah.
So I think about it, but then my focus is that feeling that energy moving in my body, and I can feel it like a vibration moving up and down my body. And
Mhm.
then I have a few minutes of prayer. I may even, see the day and the flow of the day. I do this before I get out of bed. It sets the tone for my day. It really does. It's really powerful. So that's one. Exercises I like. Another one is, just simply using your senses. So
Hmm.
what do I mean by that? Maybe you go for a walk, or let's say you're outside and you just take a moment and just like, what am I seeing?
Mhm.
Then what
That'll
am
bring
I
you right to the
hearing?
present, and that'll bring you
Yeah.
right to the present moment. Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, sensing. I mean, all those. Another one, a quick one that I really like is practicing, right now when I'm talking and everyone who's listening, can you feel your hands? Feel your hands, feel your fingers.
Mhm.
Whatever's
Yeah.
there, your fingers, can you feel it? When you drop in to feel your hands, your fingers, your thinking mind stops. You can't do
True.
both at the same time. So just like and I share this in my private practice when I work with people. offering skills and tools, and every one of us is different. So what speaks to you? Is it a breath exercise, a meditation, practicing moments of mindfulness while you're drinking your coffee in the morning, or, self-soothing, putting your hands on your chest? I love this, over my heart area, and just feeling the warmth of my hands calms my body. I'm calming my nervous system, and adding, a loving kindness phrase, may I be at peace, or if you believe in something beyond, give me peace. I mean, all these are just powerful, but I always say, like, well, what speaks to you? What resonates with you? And try one or two practices and see how it feels.
Yeah, and be commit to it. I would say commit to it. Like, don't do it once and then be like, "Oh, this doesn't work." Like, you have to you have to make it a commitment, and it could be something just very simple that only takes a few minutes out of your day, right? Which
Yep.
is
And it takes, 66
Mhm.
days typically to create a habit. But and I'll even say, write it on a post-it note and put it
Yeah.
by your bed or in your bathroom, and just try it every day for a week, 2 weeks. Notice how it feels. Notice, what is life-giving, what is depleting. It's just awareness, building that awareness muscle.
Building that awareness muscle. Yeah. I want to go back to something you said about gratitude, because I talk about gratitude a lot, and I think a lot of people say, "Oh, I know, I'm grateful for what I have." Right? "Oh, I know, I'm grateful for what I have." But there's something in the energy that's telling me, "Well, you are on one level. Yes, of course, you're grateful for what you have, but you're not really in gratitude." It's almost like, well, of course I'm grateful for my house. And of course I'm grateful for, I have food in my refrigerator, but we're not in the energy, because you said you have to feel it. Like, you have to feel the actual gratitude. What can you tell us about how we can really tap into the feeling of gratitude and not
Yep.
just saying it, because we could say
Yeah.
it, but it's not, they're not really in it, if you know what I mean.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting because there's been so much conversation and articles about gratitude, which is great. But a lot of them, I've noticed, a lot what's out there in the world and out in media and out in articles talks about thinking, just what you said, thinking
Mhm.
about gratitude. And that's great. But when you're just in your mind, you're missing the power of gratitude.
Yes.
And so it's really about feeling it. So you think about starting with, like, okay, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for family or friends, or, what comes to mind for everyone listening. What are you grateful for? But then can you zero in and, like, okay, so here's an example. I'm a huge animal lover. I have two dogs, two
Too.
Bashans, Bella and
Mhm.
Ollie. And I'll
Aw.
just even drop in, I know, and I'll visualize Bella and
Mhm.
Ollie. They're these poofy white Bashans, and my heart starts to open and warm and
Yeah.
soften. So even, I do like a dog. Do you love a dog, a cat? Maybe it's a parent, maybe it's a best friend or a partner. What makes your heart soften? And just hold that vision and then feel it. Just see if you can drop in and feel it in your heart and marinate in that, growing the good, marinating in that. And for me, even just saying thank you, and I love
Mhm.
you, and I start to feel love, and I start to feel that sensation. And for everyone listening, just notice, what does that feel like? It might be a little tingly, it might be like a little softening. Just
Mhm.
notice what's there.
Yeah, that's good. Using animals is good for animal lovers, because everybody who loves animals knows that feeling when you're, like, on your bed or on your couch and your dog or your cat's next to you and they're so cute, and you just look at their face and you grab them and you give them a big old kiss and you're, like, kissing all over them. That's when you're in gratitude. That feeling. That's the feeling. So
Yep,
if you can hold
exactly.
it, yeah, you squeeze their little face and you talk to them in the funny voice and you're like, "Oh, I just love you so much," and that's your
Mhm.
heart opening. And okay, it might not be the same when you look at your, yeah, I don't know, running water in the sense like where your heart opens for it. But
Mhm.
think about people who have no access to running water, right? And a
Mhm.
lot of
Yep.
times what I do is when I get in the shower, I get very present and I'll feel the hot water and and I'll really try to tap into that feeling about God, how lucky am I that I have fresh hot water, and nice smelling soaps, and that I can, you know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yep.
my
Yep.
body is working. My body is working. I got to the shower. I can move my arms and legs. So it does take practice, but it's something that you can do. It's just got
Yep,
to
yep, it
start.
does. And to be alive, to be breathing, to be here is
Mhm.
a gift. And when many people don't realize that until all of a sudden their life might extinguish or might be gone or they're about to die or there's some crisis. It's
Right.
like, but when
Of
you go through that,
course.
you realize, wow, how incredible that I'm alive.
Yeah. And I think right now, trying to focus on those things and also things that bring you joy, doing simple things that bring you joy. Like, what do you do that just is something that's just so joyful that you just love? Maybe it'll spark ideas for people who are listening that right now all they can think about is how awful everything is.
Mhm. Mhm. All of us are different. I'm
Hmm.
also a painter. I paint
Okay.
and I'll get a huge canvas and I'll just start
Hmm.
painting and it's like the time stops, the world stops. It's magical. So what people are passionate about. I'm a baker. I love to
Hmm.
bake and I'll take a recipe and do it 10 times till it's like perfect and then I'll go on, I'm getting walking in nature. I invite people when I talk about this, just what fills your heart? What is life giving? What gives you some love, joy, peace? What is that? And paying attention and leaning into that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm a creative, so I when I'm doing something and my creativity is sparked, I'm in the present moment. I'm feeling joy. I can feel my frequency, my energy higher. It feels good. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of, and you don't have to be an artist to be creative, like you said. I mean, like traditionally, I mean, like a painter or photographer or sculptor. Like, you can be creative in your cooking for your family and
Exactly.
friends, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
that can bring you joy. Yeah,
Yep.
and
And
that
I
can
do
bring you
think
joy.
healing, I'm on this path of healing and I help people
Yes.
healing. The pathway to healing, it is really true, personally, professionally, and I've read thousands of books in this arena, but it's feeling your feelings. And that can be hard when life is messy and hard.
Hmm.
But can you create a little space if you're all of a sudden having a hard day or you're angry or sad or something from family of origin got triggered, or the more you can have space to be able to even just, name what's happening, name what's upsetting you, name the feeling, breathe into it a little bit. I promise it starts to dissipate. And then there's space and there's breathing room. It's really important.
Yeah, that's a good point because a lot of us, when something happens and we're triggered, we look for ways to avoid it. And what you're telling us is don't avoid feeling it, feel it, and go
Yep.
through it. Yeah, why?
Yeah.
And
It's really
a
the
lot of us are,
pathway.
yeah, because we're terrified. We're terrified to
Hmm.
feel our feelings.
And
Hmm.
I've worked with a lot of people, for example, around grief. And, if all of a
Hmm.
sudden a family member or someone close to you has died,
Hmm.
grief is really heavy. And I'm all about, can you feel it a little bit and take a break? It's going to be there.
Hmm.
So feel it a little, and then can you get out and go for a walk or call a friend or go to the grocery store but it really to be fully healthy, integrated, vibrantly alive. It's feeling our feelings. It's the gateway to coming into our essence, our soul. It's really important.
Yeah, I agree. And I know it's not easy. I'm just curious, are more of your clients women than men, or are you starting to see more and more men?
Yeah, interesting question. They are, I would say 2/3 are women, a third men, but more and more men are coming
Yeah.
and just saying, I feel something's missing. I feel numb. I don't want to live this way. There's got to be more. So more and more men I actually am seeing.
Yeah. I've just had this feeling that there's been so much toxic masculinity for so long, and we're seeing it really vibrating really, openly right now. But I think a lot of men are starting to ask themselves the deeper questions and start doing some of that soul searching. That not that women are, I don't mean to say women are better, I don't mean it like that. I just think women were just naturally more in touch with our emotions, and that's nurtured a lot for us when we're younger. With men, boys don't cry, be a man, that kind of stuff that girls don't get. So I just think, and naturally, we're just more emotional. But I kind of feel like that's happening. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I would say that I think there's just an opening happening among everyone. I think about the
Yeah.
pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
until the pandemic, most people, a lot of people, haven't seen life and death in front of your eyes like we would see via TV,
It's
etc.
true.
I think that cracked people open. I also think, as the Surgeon General has said in the country, that we're in a loneliness epidemic. 1 out of 2 people are lonely.
Hmm.
I just think
Yeah.
there is a confluence of why am I here? What does it mean to be alive? Feeling unease that's causing everyone to start to look a little more inward and trying to find meaning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about, yeah, I not that I forgot about the pandemic, but you don't, I'm not thinking about it, but yeah, that did crack a lot of people open.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yep.
Do, do
Yep.
you do groups, or do you just see one-on-one clients? Do you teach classes? That kind of stuff?
Yeah. I I do a lot in my private practice where
Hmm.
I see 1 or 2 people in sessions. I in the past did groups. I'm doing a few, not a lot. I do actually do quite a bit of public speaking events here in the Midwest, and I'm doing a lot relating to podcasts. I'm actually starting my own podcast.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's going to launch in April, and it's going to be called "It's Everyday Awakening," and the subtitle is "We Are Here to Awaken Daily: What It Means to Be Alive." So for people to look for that, it'll be launching in April.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I'm sure you're going to be going through a lot of what is in your book, on your podcast. Yeah, we need more of the. We need more of these out there. We need more podcasts and books like this. Um,
Hmm.
so if I am going through a very difficult time. This is for anybody who is listening and is feeling this way right now. Going through a very difficult time, and I feel very, you said loneliness, and I feel very lonely. What would you suggest would be the first thing I should do to try to open my heart, try to find connections? Like, what advice would you give somebody?
So I would start with what can comfort your heart? What can comfort your heart? And even just
Mm,
starting self care with basics. Are you getting good sleep? Just not getting good
yeah.
sleep is like, yikes, really
Yeah.
hard. Sleep, good nutrition, moving your body, community. I mean, here's the research. You have 1 or 2 authentic friends, you live longer. Is there someone you can talk with and confide with? And
Mhm.
what would help you just feel a little more warmth and love and light in your heart, in your being, and leaning into that? I go back to the, what's life giving in your life? Can you grow that? Is it a particular person? Is it, when you do a particular hobby? Is it, when
Mhm.
you get out in nature, it fills your soul? Can you do that? And just being mindful of creating more space to grow and marinate in the good and getting the support that you need.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that. And is there anything that you want to leave us with? We only have like a couple of minutes, and tell everybody where they can get your book.
Yeah, thank you so much. My book, Everyday Awakening, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's in Barnes and Nobles in a bunch of cities in the country. If you even Google everydayawakening.com, you'll find it. And yeah, love to hear from people. If you get a chance to get my book, and look for my podcast, Everyday Awakening. That's going to launch nationwide here in April. And thank you so much for having me on your show today.
Well, thank you, Catherine. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, guys, if you want to find out more about Catherine, go to her website, catherineduncan.org. And I'm assuming, Catherine, people, your podcast will be linked through your website, correct? People will be able to
Yep,
find you.
absolutely. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
that's exciting. Are you going to have guests, or are you just going to do just you talk, just you? What
Yeah,
do you
no,
think? Or you
yes,
don't?
we're already interviewing, taping away. So
Oh,
it's all going to
I
be,
love that.
yeah, guests talking about being alive, what's awakening, what is life giving. That's what my podcast is going to be about.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think it'll be very helpful to people. So look for her in April, guys. And thank you so much. I really appreciate our conversation today. I think a lot of people benefited a lot of people. It was great. Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah,
All
great
right,
to meet you.
you too. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave. And I'm wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, and love. Peace.